So let's review this game by one of my students, Brad Cler, and he asked a very good question that I'm always getting checkmated whenever I'm playing the Scandinavian defense and white castles long and just launches an attack on me on the king side. So what to do against it? So it's a very good question, and I have had faced similar problem in my career playing the Scandinavian when I was like at an 1100. But really, the comments that I have about the Scandinavian now is that again, by the words of the great Bobby Fischer, it's an inferior opening, and you really have to be precise in the opening in order to survive. And if you just make one wrong move, suddenly white is just a lot better, +1, +1.2, and you just really have nothing. Similar is a story with the Perk defense, where you're just giving up the center entirely, e4 d4. The ultra solid French defense, you still give the entire center, but then you strike in the center on the next move. Similarly, in the Caracan, you give up the center, but you do strike in the center right on the next move. But in the Perk, you're just giving up the center for a while, and then white does get some space advantage, and you have to be precise in the Perk as well. But Scandinavian is just a very difficult opening to play, especially at a slightly higher level. I would say it works really well at the intermediate or slightly less than intermediate level, because here your opponents will just definitely make blunders and mistakes and help you get something out of the opening just by making normal moves. But once you actually become like stronger above, like anywhere above 1600, 1700, then I believe it's not a great opening choice for you at all. Let's see what happens in the game. After e takes d5. Okay, even if you play Scandinavian, I recommend this knight f6 move in this position, so you are able to recapture the pawn back with the knight and not with the queen, because it is simply against the principles of chess that you are using your queen at this early stage of the game. So if white tries to hold on to the pawn, then you can even play c6, and after takes, and you're controlling the d4 square very well, and keep that backward pawn for white on d file. And this is just a nice position. And if you look at the evaluation bar, it's 0-0. So even being a pawn down, black is 0-0, which means that it's a fair opening to play. It's a good choice. However, in the game, you recaptured back with the queen. The problem is that knight comes out and c3 attacks the queen. Queen goes back and knight f3. So white is already having a lead in development, and black is just already, if you look at the position of the bar, you will see the bar will just keep going down from here, and white will just keep getting better and better, although you're still making the best moves in the position. So all of these moves are best moves in the position. Still, white is plus 0.6. c6, the best move in the position. Bishop f4, e6, best move in the position, long castles, and b5. Although, yeah, the computer really recommends here knight d5. And if you don't play knight d5 in this position, the position actually becomes worse for black. So you have to go into this line, knight d5, knight takes d5, c takes d5, and white will try to attack you on the king side. You bring the pieces out, h5, and then bishop d6, bishop gets traded, h6 in this position, and then you play g6 and rook e1, and you also castle long. And that's how you avoid getting checkmated on the king side. So this needs to be played very precisely in order to avoid. I mean, you should know this line. Otherwise, if you just make suboptimal moves in this position, normal moves, for example, here you played b5 and tried to counter attack white on the king side, which is indeed the main idea in many of the Sicilian Najdorfs and Sicilian dragons, when you are when white is going for the English attack and attacks you on the king side, and you basically counter attack white on the queen side. And the thing is that there you already have the king castled, and Scandinavian is much slower because you wasted couple of tempi moving the queen back and forth in the opening, so you never have the time to castle the king. And now the king is in the center, and it is plus 0.8. So this is just already worse, although a very standard idea to counterattack, but it's just worse. So rook e1, and okay, white is not even immediately going for the kingside attack here, because the king for black is still in the center, so he well places his rook in the center. Bishop b4, another slight inaccurate move, because here the evaluation goes plus 1.1. So you should just basically play bishop e7 and castle and at least get the king to safety. But bishop b4, and after knight e5, and again, this knight is still not developed, and this allows knight to get to this e5 square. If the knight was on d7, at least we would be fighting for the e5 square. And now white does not go for h4 g4 ideas, but a very nice plan to just bring the rook to the h3 square and attack you on the h7 square. Bishop g5 take the knight, and queen takes h7 would be made. Okay, so yeah, a5 is a decisive mistake of the game. Now white does get a beautiful position with all of his pieces very actively aiming towards our king side, and it's just very hard to stop this attack. And yeah, even if you make the best moves, bishop e7, still it's +6. I mean, okay, it's +3 here, but after rook e8 is just completely lost. Like, you cannot survive this kind of attack. Some sack is going to come, some weakness on the. I mean, whenever you play g6, the bishop is supposed to be on g7, defending the or guarding the dark squares at the very least. But what is the bishop doing here on b4? Putting pressure, not even putting pressure on this knight. There's no queen here, so it's spinning it nothing at all. We have completely misplayed this opening here, I would say, and this is not how to play the Scandinavian. So yeah, like, okay, so you did survive for a few more moves, but of course in the end we have to get mated. We cannot face an attack like that, unfortunately. What is my recommendation? My recommendation is to, first of all, my recommendation is to not play Scandinavian at all. Like, why don't we play something ultra solid like a Petrov and steer down the game into a territory like deep waters that our opponent has not seen, and we know the theory. So I recommend Petrov defense against e4. But even if you're not a Petrov player, you can just play Sicilian, the ultra solid aggressive option, although it's very theory heavy. French defense is also a good option. If you want to really surprise your opponent and you play King's Indian defense with black pieces, then d6 Park defense is a good option. Caro-Kann is a very popular choice here, but not the Scandinavian. I really don't recommend it. But even if you have been playing it a lot and you still like to play it, then after pawn takes, I like knight f6 to start with, because if white goes d4, you grab the pawn, and we do transpose the game into some sort of a, queen gambit decline, Carlsbad sort of structure, or basically something resembling to that. We can play c5 after takes, bishop takes, something very solid, and we are not falling behind in development or anything. Also here after knight f6, d4, we can still go c6 takes. Okay, this I don't recommend because of the structural weakness. But yeah, you can just take the knight. That would be best. After knight f6, if knight f3, you still take. And yeah, if white holds on to the pawn, c6 is then the solution to the problem. But if you go into this queen takes d5 line, the knight takes, queen gets back, your usual lines are fine when knight f3, knight f6, e6, e6, bishop e7, you castle, white also castles, and somehow you're trying to fight for equalizing. But if white does go for that queen side castles plan, then you should also try to castle queen side and not allow getting attacked on the king side. That will be my recommendation. First priority, not to play Scandinavian. Second priority, if you do play Scandinavian, play knight f6 candy. If you don't want to play knight f6 candy, then play your normal Scandi, but against the queenside castle, you also castle queenside, like we showed in this review, where we saw in this review. So that will be my recommendation. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have more questions, you can always ask me. I will be creating more videos to answer those questions. So see you in the next video.